Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, doing April Whirlwind's tarot tag, and she's calling this hashtag Tarot Development Tag 13. As usual, I'm doing this late. There are many other people who've already done this, but why not? I've got just a short amount of time before I need to go back to work, and so I thought I would spend my time doing this. I had my decks out fussing with them, doing other things, and thought, okay, here we go. Number 1, what is your soul card or card that you have a deep connection to, and why? So I'm going to say the Fool, and I'm showing you this particular rendition of the Fool from Tarot and Illuminati because the second question is, do you have favorites of that card in one or multiple decks? Really, just this. I tend to like the Fool card anyway, just in general. And why? Why? The idea, I guess, of taking risks kind of in the service of growth. You know, the Fool is willing to take a chance for change, you might say. Is not afraid of moving forward with the barest of essentials, and has his little spirit animal of some kind or another. They're either pushing him along, pushing him over the cliff, or warning him one way or the other. Some cards depict it one way and some the other. Yeah. So that's my spirit card, or my I don't know that it's my soul card. It's one that I identify with. The Chariot is my birth card, and I do identify with that a lot. But I confess that when I'm in a situation, and I've had some pretty serious illnesses, and so when I'm in the midst of an illness, or for that matter, it's kind of, unless they find a cure for Lyme disease, I've kind of got one forever, that inhibits my movement, my urge to really move and change and that sort of thing. So I can't always kind of embrace the Chariot, but I can always find a way to play the Fool. I can do that. And so that kind of keeps me, even when even if it's just doing something on the internet, that doesn't satisfy the charioteer in me, but it does. But I can be foolish. I can be. And not foolish in terms of humor, but taking risks for the sake of growth is how I think of that. And to some extent, adventure. So number 2, we already did that. Favorites of that. 3, do you have your soul card represented in your life in terms of art or tattoos or anything? Nope, not at all. I feel like it's very present in my life, in my actions, etc., etc. So I don't need any reminders other than my own behavior and inclinations. 4, do you use your soul card in a magical or spiritual practice? No, I don't use tarot in that way. 5, what tarot card describes your personality now? Probably right now I would say I am the Knight of Pentacles, in the sense that whatever I do, I have to do it very slowly and deliberately. I still do have a horse, like the charioteer moving forward, but when I move forward, I have to move forward very slowly and deliberately and purposefully. So, yep. 6, what tarot card described your personality in the past? It probably would be a combination of these two. I liked a lot of change. If you think of the charioteer as an emissary, somebody just kind of going forward and exploring, both of these being kind of exploratory but friendly intentions, but being the new person because you're going into new territory. I just made a lot of moves. I moved a lot until I got my my Lyme disease, and that pretty much stopped me in my tracks. And and I was settling down at that point too. Sometimes I think that settling down sort of killed me, or left me open to situations that I wouldn't have otherwise encountered. But this card is kind of a strong card in my life too, the Hermit. But I think I had this out for the next question. What changes have you noticed? Well, again, because I became ill with Lyme disease, this card has become less important, and this card is perhaps more important, has become more important for me. I've experienced some changes lately, so maybe the Chariot will come back to the fore, but these are kind of my big three. Now, I would say that I have a pretty stable personality. I have not had any radical changes to me. These I think have always been factors in the way I function in the world. Okay, 8. How does your soul card reflect your personality and spiritual growth so far? If we bring the Fool back up, so how does your soul card reflect your personality or spiritual growth so far? I don't know. I mean, it's persisted. I'm still 0. I can still go to 0 at any rate. One of the reasons that I do choose the Fool card as a soul card is that I have found that I'm single, and so as I meet people, I find that people who have a low tolerance for risk or change of any kind, I have difficulty understanding, and I think that's just a reflection of the extent to which I identify with this sort of pushing yourself beyond boundaries, sort of, or beyond your own limitations, or even beyond what you might call social assumptions of where you shouldn't go or what you shouldn't do. And this all makes me sound like I'm really radical, and I'm not really radical, or well, politically maybe, but I'm not jumping out of planes, and I'm not doing things that I would consider irrational. But I feel like a lot of people limit themselves unnecessarily and won't risk change. As an example, I am, I don't know that I'm a shy person anymore. I was painfully shy when I was younger. Up until, kind of my early 30s even. But that was something, in order to function well in the world, I needed to, in order to be the charioteer and push forward and move forward, I really had to challenge that and move out of it. And when I do that, I'm engaging the Fool energy. Step off the cliff. Don't worry whether you're qualified or not. Don't worry about it. You just step off the cliff and let it happen. That kind of thing. So I think and the more times you do that, the more confident you become. So my ability to do, or my willingness to do this, increases my ability to do this, and my confidence engaging with the Chariot. Okay. How has the tarot shaped that change? Well, I don't think it has. I think of tarot as a reflection, not as a shaper. And life experience has shaped that change. That's what that's been about. I don't think, I would not use the word shape. I don't think the tarot has shaped me. It gives me clues along the way, but it doesn't, I don't think it has shaped me. Now I know that part of the reason that question is asked is because some people have come, it was a radical step for some people to even come to the tarot. But I guess I never felt that was the case for me. There were no real strictures about tarot cards, and I didn't grow up with religious restrictions of that kind or anything. Alright, so 8, 9, okay, so this should be 10. 10, any cards or decks that have challenged you? Oh, there have been all kinds of challenged me. Now that's some funny phraseology, not wrong or bad phraseology, but funny phraseology. So challenged as in maybe comprehension of the card or something, or understanding. I think that what she's getting at is more comprehension of myself. So let me flip through here a little bit. My first thought is no, I don't feel like I get real shocks. Sometimes I feel like I get a knock on the head from the tarot cards, but not necessarily real shocks. They all seem like they're parts of life, and I don't know that there's any tarot card that I could say that I've never experienced, being in my mid-50s as I am. One of the lovely things about the tarot is that any given card, you can, if you choose to, if you feel that it's particularly significant for you, at a certain time and place, you can really explore it deeply. And I don't know that that's challenging. It's not like it's given me some kind of a shock. But this card, the Hanged Man, as I've mentioned in some other response kind of videos, I had started doing a type of reading that involves pulling a major arcana card out of the deck, your first upright major arcana card, and using that to create a journey. Okay, so my last one, the major card was the Hanged Man. And, it's like, okay, so some spiritual contemplation is often the way I take this. But I decided to really, coming up in that kind of a reading, it's asking me to look deeply at this and what kind of role this can play. Not that it's playing it now, but it was telling me that this is a direction that I'm heading in. And so that, to me, is asking me to look very deeply at this card. And I did quite a bit of research into it. So you could say that although I don't feel that the tarot has shaped me up to this point, because this was kind of a major question that this was an answer to, it could from here on, in terms of giving me a clue about something I need to be doing or something I need to be watching for. The whole notion of sacrifice, really this is sacrifice for knowledge if you take it back to Odin hanging from the world tree in order to get the the runes from the Norns and all of that stuff, which is what I was really connecting with. Yeah. Anyway, so there is that. But it's not terribly shocking. You know, I don't know that it's challenging me to look deeper. The spread is challenging me to look deeper into this particular card. This must be 11. How do you tell the difference between a deck that's challenging growth or that you're just not meshing with it? Now, in this particular situation, I think of challenging growth as kind of asking you to look at things differently. And I can bring out this deck, the Romantic Tarot. And, I mean, a lot of decks take a different tack on the suits frequently that make you look at things differently, which is the fun of it, you know. So, again, since this is where I'm coming from, it's like, yeah, challenge me, yes, I'll jump up. But not always, not always. So I will admit that there are things that make me go icky poo. I don't think I like this deck. But some of it, sometimes I like it, like I like the artwork of a deck, but I feel like it's just not speaking to me. It's not reading well for me. It's just a bunch of pretty pictures, which is a funny sort of difference, but there you go. Yes, this is the Romantic Tarot. The Romantic Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. And when I got this, I actually did reviews of each of the suits because they just kind of blew my mind the way they were rethinking things. And this is the Chariot card of all things with oxen in a farm. And it's like, what? And even people do some funny things with the Chariot cards. You know, it was hard for me initially to accept in the Prairie Tarot the Chariot card because it was so, I think in fact I brought that up in another one of these video responses. It was a problem for me. But, you know, in this deck, for instance, the swords are actually honor and right behavior in love. The cups are actually like drink. They're indulgence. So they're not positive. The swords are positive. The cups are not positive. The pentacles are about a love of what's physical, as are the wands. The wands are just like in this, which I think is cool, two of wands or canes in this particular deck. Two men, people with penises. That's exactly what they take the wands to be in this deck. It's all about men. The wands are he who has a wand. He who was born with a wand. That's what the wands are about. You know, so here we have the 10 of swords, and that's just a terribly sweet picture. She's not dead like the 10 of swords. This is saying I have to go off for duty, and he's leaving a rose for her. So it was challenging initially because it didn't challenge me in the sense of like challenging my personality or shaking up my notions of love. It did shake up my notions of how a deck would interpret love. For example, the cups being about kind of getting drunk so that you can be social, or meeting people. Can I find one? Let me see. Indulging and not being very aware of what you're doing. This is the 6 of Cups. You know, bunch of drunk guys tippling, thinking that those women are displayed, kind of like prostitutes are displayed, you know. But I love, I've gotten, so one of the other questions here, the next one, what deck didn't you like but you're glad you've kept working with? And I would say that this is actually one of them. And I can't say that I didn't like it. It was just like, whoa, this is not what I thought. I did actually a lot of research before. I had very little money at the time, but I wanted a deck focused on love. And so I did quite a bit of research, and I chose this one. And so when it turned out to be so non-traditional, I was a little nonplussed. But I think this, as I've gotten to know this deck, I appreciate its kind of snarky view in many ways of the chase, as is depicted in this one, the man chasing the woman. And I've realized, as I've started to work with it, that it comes actually from a very male perspective. So I think it's valuable actually in that regard, because a lot of decks, especially love decks, tend to be very female focused. So that's one. So this is one I would say proved to be challenging in terms of accepting it and accepting its notion of things. However, and so how do I tell the difference? A deck that's challenging me, I think, like that one, there's an element of wanting to understand it, of being intrigued. It's not that I understand it and don't like it. It's that it's twisted things somehow in such a way that I'm having to resort my expectations of things. And again, since this is a strong part of my personality, not to mention, you know, the charioteer, a challenge is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I mean, to me, that's one part of the fun of getting different decks, and you know, it's just, you know, go challenge me, no problem. But there are decks that I don't mesh with. Some I will love the art, and yet it just kind of falls flat for me. So one is the Halloween Oracle, which I just traded, so I can't show it to you. I've traded out in the Facebook group Tarot Swap. I've traded out a lot of these decks that's like, okay, I'm not using it, it's not working for me, whatever the case may be. In the Halloween Oracle, I was hoping it would be the kind of deck where I would use it not only for Halloween, but year-round, that it would be a fun deck to pull from. But I just found that I wasn't connecting with it, that a lot of the Halloween-y vibe it's just not me at this point in my life. It's just not me. So I've passed it on to someone else. And so one of the decks I showed you already, one deck that I'm glad that I kept, but, you know, that Romantic Tarot. Another deck that I'm glad that I kept is the Voyager Tarot. Now, and you know, I even, and this is me, I can be pretty, I don't know, what tarot card is for aggression? Knight of Swords. I can be a Knight of Swords sometimes when I'm working with a deck, or I get a deck, and they're trying to make it fit the tarot system, or particularly the Rider-Waite-Smith system, and it really doesn't work. And my attitude is, let it go. Just let it go. And so in this, I've kept the keywords on the cards. What I realized once I got this deck, and I didn't know it at the time that I purchased it, was that it's not Rider-Waite-Smith based. It's actually Thoth based, which, you know, I'm not familiar with that system. But I was really intrigued by the collage. I like collage. I like doing collage. But I also discovered, so, this had the tarot associations down here on the bottom, and I cut them off. I said, nope, it's not working for me. And so I cut them off of all of the cards and kept the keywords and the image. And then I discovered, so I did that. That's my Knight of Swords saying, all right, I can make this deck work by altering it. Cut, altered, also added etching. And then as I started to read with it, I realized that all of the images that are in here can just be too much. Just like there is such a thing as having, a ton of cards in the spread and it just gets overwhelming. There's just too many messages. Too much going on in these. However, I do like to pull them out, as the Tauruses on my channel will attest to. I did something that was a little unconventional for me. I usually use this for more career and money kind of readings, but I pulled it out and I did a love reading with it for Taurus, an annual overview love reading with this, and it seemed to work well. People seem to be appreciating it. So yeah, I'm glad that I've kept this deck, because even so, I was still, even after modifying it and everything, I was still like, I don't know. And what I think eventually, given some time, what I will do is spend some time with these cards. So say when I'm in my 70s, spend some time with these cards and just come up with intuitive, this is obviously the Sun, what am I getting from them intuitively? I do believe that these could be very intuitive cards. And this is something that doesn't really work for me. This to me is similar to having a pip deck where there are no illustrative images on the card. And so I would have to have logic or I wouldn't get this. Tourmaline, smoky quartz, okay? That doesn't tell me. And this is the suit of crystals, which they've replaced for the suit of swords. I shouldn't say they, he, the maker of the deck, was a guy. So, yeah. But yeah, some fantastic, cool images though. But again, it's like the whole suit of crystals is challenging. But I get it. This card comes up with uncommon frequency in readings, delusion. So I recognize it and I know the meaning of it at this point. I do like what has been done in this deck with other things. Okay, I'm rambling. I'm getting too much into it. So, what makes your heart sing, tarot related or not? So this is a question just to break free. I like it. It sings to my fool. This question that is completely out of alignment with the rest of it. Out of alignment with the rest of the questions. What makes my heart sing? Long stretches of time in which I have no obligations whatsoever, and I have money, so I don't have limitations in terms of what I can do. I could stay home and go, lay in bed, I could read, whatever, or I could go on a trip. Other things that make my heart sing, going to some nearby waterfalls. You've got some fantastic waterfalls, and sometimes I just feel like I'm being totally cleansed just being near them. That makes my heart sing. There's another location where when I get up high so that I have a view, I also love that. and there's a location not too far from here. It's about 30 minutes or so, where you get up on a bluff and you can't see very far, but there are vultures there. And the vultures are fairly social, so they will come and swoop down. So you're up high and they will come swooping by you and swooping by you. And of course it might make my heart sing more if it were eagles or something, but the vultures are fantastic. They're fantastic. I really love the vultures there. So that makes my heart sing. And any encounter with a wild animal will make my heart sing. Oh, what else? I don't know. A lot of what I really makes my heart sing would be things in the natural world, and again, the phrasing of that makes my heart sing is different than like excitement, like the excitement of maybe getting a new deck, or the curiosity of getting to a new deck. To me, that doesn't make my heart sing. It's fascinating, but and anymore, I don't know that there is excitement. It's more, intense curiosity is what it is, and some level of suspense, because I've gotten a number of decks that I thought would make my heart sing, maybe, or that I would feel really connected to, and haven't. And so it's like, okay, is this going to be a yes or a no deck? Is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Trying to think if there's anything, but it's a different emotion. I was going to say, if there's anything when I'm giving or reading, or the result of a reading that in any way makes my heart sing, and I would say not. It's a very different space, different space. That's not what it's about. All right. So there we go. That's April Whirlwind's hashtag Tarot Development tag 13. 13 questions. Somehow I feel like I'm missing one. No, I did get it. Okay. And I think we're running out of these, so I might not have too many of them yet coming in the future. For those of you who in my channel who maybe weren't expecting all of these things and are a little tired of them, things are slowing down a little bit in the hashtag tarot hashtag community. All right, take care. Bye-bye.